We finally have leaked photos of the upcoming, to be announced very shortly, Canon EOS R100. But how does the R100 differ from the Canon EOS R50? The R100 being around $479 and the R50, $679. Well, we have 3 images from the front that should help shed light on that, but it's the one from the back that really gives us an idea as to how this camera costs $479, is quite a bit cheaper than the R50. All those details coming up after this short break. But first, please do me a favor. Follow me on Twitter, but most importantly, please subscribe to this channel. It doesn't cost you anything and really does help this channel grow. And if you're already a subscriber, thanks so much for your support. Photo Rumors has several very good detailed images of the R100 like this one here. Here's a view from the camera with the RFS 55 to 210 attached, the f5 to 7.1, and here's another look face on. Looks rather simple and clean, doesn't it? You see, it isn't until we get to see the back of the camera that we understand how it's going to be less capable and cost several $100s less. You notice that LCD there? There's no articulating screen, no flippy screen. It's fixed. And this takes us back many years, back to the 50D. Now we do have a D-pad, an info button, play menu, and a few other standard Canon buttons, more or less the same layout that we see with the Canon EOS R50, but without that flippy screen. Oh, and it doesn't have the ISO sensitivity button. So the Canon EOS R100 is going to cost $479, $200 less than the Canon EOS R50. However, there are multiple different kit packages. You've got the Canon EOS R100 by itself, body alone, $479. Then you have a kit lens for, what was it again? $599, $599. Then we have a dual kit lens package for $829. And we don't know exactly what lenses are going to be in those packages, but we do know that Canon is going to be announcing a new lens, a 28mm f2.8 for $299. And it's an RF lens, not an RFS, according to Canon Rumors and Photo Rumors. So we have the Canon EOS R100. It's going to be announced very soon. It's obviously not going to be today. It could be tomorrow, but that's going to take away from the Fujifilm XS20 announcement. And it's not like Canon to take away the thunder from any other company. So it could happen tomorrow. It could happen Thursday, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens next week. The announcement of the Canon EOS R100, according to the latest rumors, is supposed to happen very, very soon. Now, Canon Rumors had said that they thought it was going to be later on in the year, later on in 2024, but it looks like it's going to happen very, very soon. Everything is heating up with this camera. But how does it differ from the R50 other than the lack of a flippy screen and the ISO sensitivity button? Well, you know what? Let's go to B&H. I'm going to take a look at B&H. And if we take a look, let me bring it up here, the Canon EOS R50. And you know, one thing I like about this camera, the R50, is that it has 6K oversample 4K, which is really, really nice. Now, obviously, it's got a few more buttons, but the layout on the back is very, very similar. So you can see this shot here. It almost looks identical to the Canon EOS R100, only it has that flippy screen. But in terms of capabilities, this camera is capable of 4K up to 30 frames per second. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if this one doesn't do any oversampling, although that would be a bit of a kick in the teeth. That alone for me would be worth the extra $200. I really think the Canon EOS R50 is a terrific camera. 6K oversample 4K gives an awful lot of detail. Got a 24.2 APS-C megapixel sensor. It's not backside illuminated. This is Canon after all. They're not going to put a backside illuminated sensor in a camera this cheap. Not even Sony does that. I think, what is it, $898 is the cheapest camera that Sony's put out with a backside illuminated sensor? No, it would be the ZV-1, and I think it was $799, now around $749. Other capabilities, 15 frames per second electronic shutter. I would definitely expect Canon to drop that down to something like 9 or 10 frames per second. And I think that's still very good. If the autofocus system is the same autofocus system in all of Canon's other cameras, and why wouldn't it be? Well, I wouldn't be surprised, 9 frames per second, if the camera's autofocus is accurate 90% of the time, is more than enough for somebody going for an entry-level camera. I mean, my Canon 70D right back here, twisting my back here, I bought this in 2013, and it can only do about 7 frames per second, and I use this for water skiing. I didn't always nail the shot, though, so sometimes you were down around 5 frames per second. But the R100, if it can do 9 frames per second with a much more modern autofocus system, I think that's pretty good. I don't think they're going to give us a contrast detect autofocus system. I think Canon's learned their lesson there. So it has a $2.36 million electronic viewfinder, and that's something really nice about the new R100 as well, because it also has an EVF, and that's kind of surprising. Go back a couple of years, and even Canon's entry-level full-frame mirrorless camera, a successor to the RP, was supposed to have an option for an electronic viewfinder, and that removing that would save Canon some money, but they've decided to not remove the EVF, put it in this camera, $479. I think that's a really good price. I really like the price. I'm just really curious about the specifications. So it has an EVF, and dual pixel autofocus 2 is what the R100 have, or sorry, the R50 has. I expect the R100 to have the same. Whether it's going to have the same types of ports, whether it's going to support the same type of Wi-Fi. I can't imagine them not supporting Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. For modern cameras, it's how you get content off. It's how you control them. Variable angle touchscreen. We don't have that here, but I'd be surprised. I'd be really surprised if it doesn't have a touchscreen. To remove that capability would actually cost Canon a lot more time and effort into the operating system for this camera to tone it down. So I don't see them doing that. And having a Digic X image processor. Yeah, sure, why not? I mean, Canon's thrown it in every other camera. So at this point, the economies of scale for that camera are, well, the argument has been made. So the Canon EOS R100, going to be slightly less capable than the R50. And I really do hope that the lack of a flippy screen, and of course, that one other button, the ISO sensitivity button, is going to mean that they're not going to reduce the other capabilities. I'd really like to see, if for this camera to be a huge success, if they keep 6K oversample 4K in this camera, if it has a 24 megapixel sensor, then that's possible. They could drop the resolution down to 18 or something less. That's also possible. And I think keeping the frames per second somewhere around 10 or 9 frames per second electronic makes an awful lot of sense. Not having a mechanical shutter will also save them an awful lot of money. So that's getting really exciting. But like you, I can't wait to see the actual specifications. We'll see how close my predictions are to what Canon announces in the R100. So again, we could have the announcement this week, next week, but it's definitely coming very soon. And if you want to stay up to date on all the latest camera news and rumors, well then go ahead and subscribe and make sure you choose all notifications. And for all the minor news and rumors out there, well then go ahead and follow me on my Twitter account, because I'm quite often tweeting out information every day, not just news and rumors, but also pricing information. So all that stuff that, well, it isn't quite big enough to have its own separate video, I'll tweet it out. And we've seen an awful lot of incredible sales on lately. The Canon EOS R5, $850 off. It's actually $500 off, but you get a free battery grip, which has a $350 value. So off of a stock R5, you are literally saving yourself $850. That's a really big deal. The Panasonic S1H, $500 off. The Nikon Z7 Mark II, $400 off. The Z6 Mark II, $300 off. There's a whole bunch of cameras, a whole bunch of lenses that are on sale, and that stuff I'm tweeting out every day. You can find this on Adorama, B&H, or even at your local camera store. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, by the way, one more thing. If you're looking at purchasing, you want to pre-order this camera, I've already got the smart pre-order links down below. What's unique about these smart pre-order links is if you use them right now, go ahead, copy them, put them in your browser. You're not going to see the Canon EOS R100. But as soon as Canon makes the announcement, these links will work. And what it will give you is not just the SKU for one camera, but all the different package options. So the R100, the R100 with a single lens, the R100 with 2 lenses. And if Adorama or B&H offer up another package with, I don't know, a camera bag, an extra battery, something to clean the sensor, you never know. Like, I know Adorama does this a lot, so does B&H. They constantly come out with all these different packages. If you use these smart pre-order links, it'll show you them all. So go ahead and copy that down, bookmark it, save it in your browser, and when we're getting ready for the announcement, refresh, and that way you can be one of the first to pre-order this camera. If you are really dead set on the R100, though, definitely take a look at the R50. And from Sony, definitely take a look at the Canon EOS RE1. What I mean to say is the Sony ZV-E1. I think that one is, or the E10, not the E1, sorry, the E10, the Canon EOS R50, the R100. Look at those three cameras. And I think what you'll see is some very, very interesting choices in terms of capabilities. Me personally, because I have a lot of Canon glass, I really do like the R50. I think it's great value at $679, but the Sony, the ZV-E10, with its auto exposure for the autofocus point, I think is very, very good. I think Sony's got a really good camera there. So I really do like the price point. If you can afford the extra $200, I definitely consider the Canon EOS R50, but I'll reserve that judgment until we actually get the full leaks, or, well, the full specifications, whether they're leaked or not, because that will really tell us how less capable the R100 is than the R50. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you again soon. Yeah, I really buggered that up. I should be going to bed right now. It's not that late, but I was already up early this morning to cover up the Canon EOS R1. So let's try the outro one more time. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing, commenting, and watching my channel. Have yourself a great week, and we'll see you again soon. Yeah, that was definitely a lot better. I think it was a lot better. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below.